Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to break down two of Google Cloud's heavy hitters when it comes to relational databases, Cloud SQL and AlloyDB. We're going to give you a really clear guide to help you figure out which one is the right one for your project.
Okay, let's just dive right in, because this is a question that every single person building an application has to ask, right? You've got this amazing idea, you're cranking out the code, but underneath it all, there's a database, and it's got to be managed by someone. And this leads us to the core problem, the classic dilemma that every successful project, and I mean every project, eventually runs into. As you get bigger, as you get more users, the pressure on your database just skyrockets, and managing it can become a whole job by itself. I mean, look, this is where you want to be spending your time, right? On the left side, building those incredible features, making your users happy. But the reality of managing a database often yanks you over to the right side, dealing with patching, stressing about backups, and getting that dreaded page at 2 a.m. for an emergency failover.
But what if you could just hand off all that operational work? That's the entire promise of a managed database. The idea is you let the cloud provider handle all the complex, tedious stuff so you can get back to focusing on your app. And that's exactly where Google Cloud comes in, starting with a really solid foundation.
So let's talk about Cloud SQL. The best way to think about it is like the dependable family sedan. You know, it's practical, it's super efficient, and honestly, it's the perfect, reliable choice for the vast majority of projects when you're just getting started. And when we say managed, this is what we're talking about. Cloud SQL takes care of all those thorny, time-sucking database admin tasks for you. We're talking automatic backups, software updates, security patching, setting up high availability. It's all handled. You just focus on writing code. But here's the funny thing about success. When your application really takes off and becomes a massive hit, that dependable sedan, well, it might start to feel just a little bit sluggish. The very database that was perfect for you at the beginning can suddenly become the bottleneck that's holding back your growth. And this is the exact scenario that AlloyDB was built for. So if Cloud SQL is a reliable sedan, AlloyDB is the high-performance electric supercar. It was engineered from the ground up for the most intense, demanding workloads that need absolutely extreme performance and scale. So what does that actually mean in the real world? For those super high-stakes transactions, things like financial ledgers or e-commerce checkouts where every millisecond counts, AlloyDB can be more than 10 times faster than standard PostgreSQL.
And if you think that's impressive, its power for analytics is even crazier. I mean, imagine being able to run these huge, complex queries for a real-time analytics dashboard without ever slowing down your main application. AlloyDB's architecture can make those queries up to 100 times faster. It's wild.
So how on earth do these two services get such wildly different results? It all comes down to the way they're built. Their underlying architecture is just fundamentally different. And the absolute key difference is right here. Cloud SQL uses a traditional model. The compute, so the brains of the operation, and the storage, where the data lives, are tightly coupled together. AlloyDB, on the other hand, just completely separates them. It disaggregates compute from storage. So why does that separation matter so much? Well, it's basically the secret sauce to AlloyDB's insane performance and efficiency. You see, the storage isn't just separate, it's a whole intelligent service layer on its own. This lets it do things like advanced caching right at the storage level. It can even process parts of a query in parallel before the data even gets to the compute instance. That's a huge part of why analytics are so much faster. It also means you can spin up more read replicas for performance without having to duplicate all your data. They all just tap into the same smart storage pool.
Okay, let's walk through a real-world SaaS example. Imagine your main database instance goes down. With Cloud SQL, the system sees this and it reroutes all the traffic to a standby replica. It's robust, it's reliable, it works. But with AlloyDB, because that storage is separate and shared by all the instances, the failover is, well, it's almost instantaneous. One of the existing read replicas can get promoted to be the new primary in just a few seconds, which is absolutely critical for those mission-critical apps where any downtime costs you money.
So, with two fantastic but very different options on the table, how do you actually make the right call for your project right from the beginning? It really doesn't have to be that complicated.
Here are 3 really simple guidelines. First, just start with Cloud SQL. Seriously, for most new apps, for general-purpose stuff, it's the pragmatic, cost-effective, and smart choice.
Second, when you know from the get-go that you need insane performance and basically zero downtime, we're talking large-scale fintech, e-commerce, that's when you design for AlloyDB. And third, always think about that price versus performance trade-off. AlloyDB is a premium service, and you choose it when that extra horsepower and uptime directly translates into more revenue and happier users.
So, at the end of the day, the real takeaway here is to pick the right tool for the job you have today, while always keeping an eye on the success you're aiming for tomorrow. Planning for growth isn't about buying a supercar on day one, it's about knowing the roadmap. So, the question is your database ready for what's next?